It hunted humans for 3,000 years, never left a single clue. It once swept through streets. People thought it was a curse in the air or punishment from the sky. Then a group of crazy people showed up. They stopped looking at the sky. They stared at water drops, corpses, blood. This is a journey of the senses. The 1600s. Plague was everywhere. No one thought the cure was hiding inside a lens. Then came Antony van Leeuwenhoek, a cloth merchant from Delft, Holland. At first, he used magnifying glasses to check fabric fibers. But this cloth seller became obsessed with grinding lenses. Others used compound microscopes. But he didn't follow that path. He made single tiny lenses as small as a pinhole, mounted them in brass, turned a screw to adjust distance. His tool looked like a simple workshop toy, but it gave him vision beyond that era. 1674. A drop of clear rainwater exploded under his lens. Tiny living things were swimming, spinning, darting around. Leeuwenhoek wrote to the Royal Society, "There are animals in water, alive!" But the reply was, "What is this crazy cloth seller talking about?" A man who knew no Latin, no titles, claiming to have found life in water. To elite scholars, this was peasant nonsense. But Leeuwenhoek didn't stop. He sent over 200 letters, bacteria from tooth scrapings, sperm cells, red blood cells. His stubborn curiosity forced open the doors of top science. Finally, the Royal Society sent someone to verify. They admitted he was right. In 1680, Leeuwenhoek was elected as a member. Sadly, for 80 years after that, medicine still believed plague was bad body fluids or poison air. Humans had seen microscopic life, but didn't know how it got into the body, how it made people sick and die. Then came Morgagni, Italian anatomist. He picked up the sword. The scalpel became a tool to interrogate death. Morgagni was cold and tough. He did something hardcore. He dissected about 700 bodies. He matched each patient's symptoms with the damage on their organs. Bubonic plague wasn't a black cloud. It made lymph nodes swell in the groin, armpits, neck. It left traces in the lymphatic system. Pneumonia wasn't bad air. Severe cases filled the air sacs with fluid. The lungs turned heavy, solid, like liver. 1761, he published The Seats and Causes of Disease. He told the world, disease has a physical address inside the body. The scalpel cut through the fog of mysticism. But knowing where disease sits didn't mean doctors could save lives. Then cholera came. Doctors still had no answers. The plague again forced human to the corner. 1832, cholera swept through Edinburgh. The toxin opened the body's valves. Water and salt poured out. Blood turned thick. Humans tried to fight directly inside the body without cutting it open, using chemistry. Scottish doctor Thomas Latta read a report. Cholera patients had lost all their salt and water. He had a thought that seemed like blasphemy. If things are lost, why not pour them back into the veins? His first attempts failed badly. He injected pure water. Then patients' red blood cells burst like balloons. He quickly realized body fluids are salty, sweat, tears, blood, all salty. He added a pinch of salt to the water, trying to copy the body's recipe. 1832, he injected this simple salt water into a dying patient. A miracle happened. Patients who were half dead came back to life. Humans, for the first time, used chemistry to turn the dial of life at the edge of death. This breakthrough got buried for 50 years because no one knew about sterile technique. But Latta's work became the start of modern intensive care. Still, the inside of the body stayed a black box. Facing TB in the lungs, doctors could only guess. The invisible virus was a dead end. Then physics handed medicine a special key. November 8th, 1895, Würzburg, Germany. Röntgen wrapped a Crookes tube tightly in black cardboard. No light could escape. He was about to finish work. In the dark corner, a screen coated with fluorescent material suddenly glowed. This meant a type of ray never seen before was passing through the cardboard, through space, grabbing that screen in the dark. He named this ray as X. He asked his wife to put hand over a plate. The image came out. Anna saw the outline of her finger bones. She cried out, "I see my death." That wasn't death. It's the first time humans saw the inside of a living body without cutting it open. This changed everything. Public health went from waiting to actively screening. With large-scale chest X-rays, TB could no longer hide. 1901, the Royal Swedish Academy gave Röntgen the first Nobel Prize in physics, not just for a physics discovery. It was the greatest cross-discipline rescue in science history. Physics became the sharpest sword for fighting against plague. From Leeuwenhoek's microscope to Röntgen's X-rays, humans stumbled in the dark for 200 years. From X-rays to penicillin, we took 40 years. From antibiotics to the human genome map, only 30 years. Tools are evolving faster than ever. Today, when a new epidemic appears, we no longer wait for long dissections or lucky accidents. With high-throughput sequencing, we can decode a virus's DNA in days. With AI, we can screen hundreds of millions of molecules for a cure in hours. And the mRNA technology even cuts the time for vaccine development, from decades to days. Looking back 300 years, inside all those cold tools, there is a restless soul that refused to give up. As long as tools keep evolving, as long as curiosity doesn't die, the battle between humans and plague will never end in darkness.